If you're like me, then you're a fashion girly, meaning you keep up with trends and have a heart for fashion. If you've been keeping up with some of the trends, you know that Y2K fashion was really big since like a couple years ago. I would say early 2000s fashion started getting really big around 2022, 2023, if I'm not mistaken. And don't get me wrong, I think it still lingers with things like low-rise jeans and long t-shirts. So if you don't know, Y2K fashion is just basically fashion inspired by early 2000s look. I feel like if you were around in like 2022, 2023, you definitely know what I'm talking about. We all know fashion is cyclical, so it's bound to come back within the fashion market. I noticed it was a large for quite some time. I noticed a lot of girls in fashion were wearing Y2K clothing in like 2022. At this time, a lot of them were using like clothes they had stored for a while, or like maybe their parents' clothing, or going to get it secondhand at thrift stores and everything, and paying for these Y2K pieces. By 2023, it was in full swing, and everyone and their mama was wearing Y2K outfits. Pieces were available everywhere, from Depop at highly marked up prices to Shein for decently priced cheap clothing that's hit or miss in quality. It was available to all. It was also around this time when Ice Spice also came up on the scene. So Ice Spice is a rapper who came up in like 2022 with her hit song Munch. She definitely has had so much happen in her career, all in the span of like 2 years, from having a hit soundtrack on one of the biggest movies in 2023 to featuring with large artists like Nicki Minaj and having a hit tour, all within like the first 2-3 years of her career. A lot has happened in her music career, but for full disclosure, this video is not going to be talking about it that pretty much at all. Maybe at points I'll touch on it, but I will not really be talking about it. I mean, you can kind of tell from the title of this video, it's really not going to be about her music but her clothing. I know a lot of people have been talking a lot about her music and how they feel as her career matures, but I'm not going to be, and would recommend you seek out somewhere else that's going to help talk about what you want to talk about in that. I'm just going to talk about some of her outfits and how I think they've evolved or haven't evolved over this course of 2-3 years. So here's where I'm going to add my awkward, actually it's not that awkward intro, it could be worse. I've had awkward intros. Hi everyone, welcome to Random Universe. The world is so crazy, so step into my universe, the Random Universe, and come along on a journey where we yap about whatever I feel like yapping. And today it's about Ice Spice's outfits. So first I'm going to talk about what I've seen in 2022 when she first blew up. We all know when Cleotrapa came out and talked about the controversy surrounding how she was treated during Ice Spice's tour, that she said that Cleotrapa claimed that Ice Spice stole her look and was before wearing bodysuits and Jordans before she started wearing mini skirts. And I think I'm gonna confirm what we all know. She was. In 2022, Ice Spice wore a lot of matching sets and various sneakers. She also wore some denim jeans or shorts with a tight-fitted top, as you can tell from some of her videos like Munch. All of them could buy off of Fashion Nova or Mika's or Outcast or whatever those websites that sell IG baddie style clothing that you could buy or whatever. You can also tell she was getting a lot of cheap pieces and low cost price clothing because she was on a budget, obviously, which made sense because she was up and coming. She probably didn't have that much money to spend. 2023 was a big year in terms of her clothing. Her career too was really big, but in 2023 she came out with her EP and she was starting to gain more traction, more than she had before, and so her clothing budget definitely went up. It went up. It increased. Like her career, her budget increased. And in other words, Cleopatra was right. She went from wearing bodysuits and Jordans to mini skirts. You can definitely see the switch up went crazy. I feel like her team decided she was going to go for the Y2K look, and they went hard at it. Okay? Saw her moving at concerts or just going out on the regular, she was always wearing like mini skirts and shorts that look like underwear. You know, those like short underwear looks, those like shorts, those denim jean shorts that look like underwear. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, she was always wearing them with like a nice like velvet tracksuit top that was very fitted, or she had some sort of fur jacket on and probably some big boots. She started wearing a lot more expensive pieces like Jean Paul Gaultier, Telfar, Coach, Tommy Hilfiger. Girl was trying to get dripped out slowly but surely. She also wore designers that a lot of celebrities were wearing, like Amelie. She also wore influencer celebrity merch, like she wore Fine Girls, which was created by an influencer, as well as Carisha / Young Miami's merch from her show called Carisha Please. The budget was definitely going insane at this time, and I feel like when she was doing award shows and fashion shows, her team was definitely having more fun and creating different looks. Like in 2023, she wore this optical illusion style dress at the iHeart Music Awards show, and at the VMAs she wore this Britney Spears inspired dress. She was also dripped out in Coach dress during the fashion week and wore her signature chain, which, side note, I think her chain is ugly, and I'm talking about the one that has like her face, like I think it's supposed to be her face, and I think it's just ugly. I'm sorry. I know that like a lot of rappers have a lot of like iced out, blinged out jewelry to like show that they've made it in some way, to show that they're big now, but I just think it's so ugly. I'm sorry, it's just my opinion. Don't hate me. But moving on, she also wore Emilio Pucci set for Fashion Week. Sorry if I butchered the name. It was a nice, cute set. I liked it. Now, if you thought the budget was big for 2023, the budget goes even harder in 2024. Like, I'm talking vintage Dior and Chanel pieces, Versace as well. She was wearing a lot of IMG pieces, which very much gave early 2000s. A lot of IMG pieces give that. So she was very much leaning into it even more. Also teamed up a lot with this designer named Timothy Luke to create a lot of vintage expired pieces. Her budget definitely went up tenfold this year. I want to take a separate time to talk about Ice Spice's hair. I think Ice's hair definitely has evolved when she first blew up. When she first got on the scene, she wore her signature afro wig, which people often liken to Annie, which it's not funny, but y'all are mean. People were definitely being like, no, it's not a wig, but like, you can definitely tell it's a wig. Her hair often changed from like light ginger to a darker ginger, and sometimes was flatter, sometimes was fuller. Like, it was definitely giving a $50 Amazon or beauty supply wig, but I'm not hating it because it became her signature, and she was on the come up at this time, so she probably didn't have a lot of money for a wig, which respect, because I'm in that place. I don't have a lot of money for a wig either, and I'm not on the come up. I just don't have a lot of money. I mean, other than the ginger fro wig, she was seen a couple times with this straight ginger hair with bangs. She didn't wear it quite often, but she did have it a couple times. It was giving my special occasion wig, my Sunday church wig. But in 2023, just like clothing, the wig budget went crazy. It went up. She had a light ginger wig that was wet and wavy, a straight one the same color. She had a yellow ginger wig that was straight. She had a dark orange ginger wig that was wet and wavy and straight. She had a red ginger wig that was wet and wavy and straight as well. She had long ginger wigs. She had short. I mean, it's possible that some of these wigs were just revamped, like the Wet and Wavy was probably straightened for them, but I would also not put it past her to have more than one wigs of the same color because she had the money. She had to have at least 5 different wigs that she was wearing. Okay, so while editing, I actually found out that her wig stylist had came out and said that she doesn't pay, and came out with like a whole tweet thing saying how she made her put in a whole bunch of purchases for wigs. So I was right that she has a ton of wigs, but that she's not paying for the labor, which is bad. But yeah, back to your regularly scheduled program. Like, and of course she had her signature fro, but she really was not showing up and out with that. She was giving every other color but that fro. Like every other ginger under the sun, every other shade of ginger you can think of, Ice Spice probably had that wig. She probably did. In 2024, her production was still high, except she added this dark afro black wig to her collection. She debuted it at the Victoria's Secret fashion show and was wearing it. And this was kind of big because she really wasn't wearing the afro wig for a while, so people kind of forgot, like, oh, she used to do that. I forgot. Now, my theory is she decided to put the fro wig back on because she noticed how much a lot of criticism around her new album and the whole stealing your man between Central C and his ex and her. People started to think she was a mean girl, and despite her saying I'm not a girl's girl, she kind of presented herself as one, as a type. So and she used to present it a lot in her music as well, so when all this came out, people were like, oh, she's kind of mean. So I think she also lost a lot of followers on social media from all of this, as well as Spotify listeners. And I think a lot of the reason why she put the fro back on was because she wants people to remember the time when people liked her and thought about her during the fro era. I think she just wants to revert back to the time when people supported her, and a lot of what people liked about her was that she was down to earth, and that time was really when she had her afro in. I just think she dyed it black or a darker color because she just wanted it to pop. Because if Ice Spice started wearing an afro ginger wig again, people would be like, oh, okay, whatever. But the black gives like a headline. It's like, oh, we weren't expecting that. A nice little pop. Honestly, I just think that she wants to go back to a time when it was her peak. And I'm not saying that she can't get to a peak again. I know a lot of people have said that her career is done, it's over, this is the end. But I honestly think it's too soon to call it quits on her career. I know like her album was a very crucial time and it didn't do quite well, and a lot has happened since then that people have just turned an eye to her. But I honestly think that all she needs to do is come out with one good project or a few good projects, and she'll be loved again, because the internet has such a short attention span that once a person does something that people love, they'll forget about anything that they hated about them before. Hello, editing me, and I just want to say I just watched It's Keisha's video on Ice Spice being unrecognizable. Great video, love her content. And I just want to highlight one of the comments that somebody left. They said, I think she changed her look too soon. For example, Ariana Grande kept her signature ponytail for years and it became a part of her image. When we think of Ice Spice, we picture her short, curly, orange hair. When she's more established, she can switch up her look successfully. Right now, I feel like she should focus on her music and her appearance, which I absolutely agree. So yeah, I don't really hate it if she is trying to go back to this point. I genuinely just think she just wants to go back to a time when everything and everyone's great. This was her peak. Like, she was getting hit after hit. Everything she touched was gold, and with every success she had. So I think she just wants to go back to that time. But hey, that's just a theory, a fashion theory. Anyway, Matte Pack, thank you. But anyway, back to her clothes. Okay, so I lied. I actually want to quickly touch on the topic of her body. I don't really feel too comfortable talking about it too long. I don't want to go into detail because I don't think it's my place to either speculate or talk about this topic. I think we just have to take what she says at face value. Where me personally, I don't really want to speculate too much into it. It's not my opinion. But a lot of people have been noticing and talking about the fact that Ice Spice has been losing a lot of weight in the last few months. And I don't know or even care about like why she's losing it. That's like her business. But I just want to talk about how a lot of fans were very shocked and confused because Ice Spice has always presented herself as being thick girl representation. And yes, do I think her body is very socially acceptable compared to a lot of other thick girls? Yes, but it was still nice representation to see of a naturally thick girl showing off her curves and her beauty, and people loved it. And they felt heard and seen. So when she lost a lot of weight, it was kind of a jump scare. And it also was a little weird to people because of the whole thing about what Cleo Chavo was saying in her multiple part long TikTok rant, where she just talked about everything that happened during tour. That's all I wanted to just cover on that, because I know a lot of people have just been confused and shocked and weird because she talked about how much she loved her curves and just how much she loved how thick she was, and then lost so much weight and looks completely different, or somewhat different. Anyway, now back to clothes. If you recall back to the beginning of this video, however many minutes ago it was, I don't even know. But if you remember, I said Y2K fashion was big in 2022. Well, because of this, everyone was taking part in the trend, and it was only a matter of time for people to oversaturate the style and be seen literally everywhere. I think the Y2K era became a very weird look to people in the public and became very stale. I said in my last video that people crave exclusivity, and that is especially true when it comes to fashion. Everyone was all over the Y2K look when it first came out. People began to do recreations, but once everyone and their mama was doing Y2K looks, they began to get tired of it. And I feel like that's one of the reflections that's on Ice Spice. I know I said I didn't want to talk about her music too much, and I really don't want to critique her on that a lot, but it's kind of the same critique that people were giving about her music that they're giving to her fashion choice. It hasn't really evolved that much in the last few years or so. Like, yes, I will say the budget definitely went up, and she did do that transition from bodysuits to mini skirts, but she also got more money to express the Y2K aesthetic. But after she started doing it, she never really strayed. I'm not saying that's bad. Like, Aaliyah Core was big in 2023 and was based off of the influencer Aaliyah, who brought back the Y2K looks of big boots and mini skirts. But Aaliyah Core is not that necessarily large of a style that's trending right now. But Aaliyah herself, the influencer, continues to wear it and love it, even if it's not that big. But I think what makes Ice Spice a little different is because Ice was one of the influencers and celebrities pioneering in the look. So it's natural that when people get tired of seeing a style, people get tired of seeing their style, they're gonna get tired of seeing whatever influencer and celebrity they see wearing it and throw criticism their way. This is not necessarily to say that the criticism against her music is not valid, because it definitely is. I just think her clothing hasn't really changed because her team has the mindset like they have for her music, that if it's not broke, don't fix it. Even as of late, looking at her outfits, she wears a lot of Y2K looks of like mini skirts and big boots still. And she did have people talking about her Victoria's Secret fashion show look of the sheer dress and the fur coats with the big boots. I really think a lot of the talk and the hype was really around about her hair and how it's changed, as I've mentioned in the last section. But anyway, as to conclude off this video, I guess I would say is that I'm very interested to see if Ice Spice will continue to do the Y2K even after everyone has just moved on, because I've noticed a lot of 70s inspired looks, like with Sabrina Carpenter and the whole Short and Sweet tour. She's been doing a lot of Cher inspired looks from when Cher was had her own show. So it's very interesting to see if Ice Spice will continue to keep the 90s look while we evolve past that in the trends world, or if she will move with the rest of us. I also want to say I understand why she's doing Y2K, because that's the name of her album, so she has to continue with that whole type of aesthetic because she's on tour still. But I am curious to see if the next project she continues to do that, because again, her team very much does have the mindset of, if it's working, we're not going to change it. But yeah, that's what I had to say. Let me know if you guys want a Cher video. I might do that, like a Cher vacation video. We're talking about how Sabrina Carpenter has a lot of very much Cher inspired looks. I think it's very interesting how Sabrina Carpenter very much was like the pioneer in that so far. I mean, it's still early on to say anything, but we were very much still hooked on the Y2K look with like a little bit of like dark like velvet purple and pinks and stuff, and blacks and stuff. But Sabrina Carpenter came out with very much like pastel, which was very different from what was seeing. So I'm very curious. I don't know, I might want to talk about that. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you can, and follow for more. Watch my other videos. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Bye. XOXO. More to later. More to come. Bye.